Hey there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today, I am doing a reaction to Katt Williams' interview with Willie D Live that he had posted on his social media account yesterday. And really quickly, I just wanted to give a quick update on the views for Katt Williams' interview with Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharpe is up to 41 million views, you guys. It is definitely it's on pace to hit 50 million pretty soon here, you guys. But it's one of those things where it's like, it's epic. You had to be there, and a lot of people are rewatching this over and over again. There hasn't been anybody that I haven't talked to, or just different people who have not seen this interview. So there is that. So Willie D, those of you who do not know, he is famously known for being in the group The Ghetto Boys, and he now has a YouTube platform that is now up to 944,000 subscribers, and I believe he gained over 20-something thousand odd subscribers just from posting this interview yesterday, and I thought that this was a brand new interview. Because in the title of this particular interview with Katt Williams, it says, Katt Williams goes in again, clears the air after breaking the internet. So I thought this was booked after the interview with Club Shay Shay, but on another content creator's page, they had the person who booked this interview with Katt Williams and said this interview took place in September of 2023, you guys. September of 2023. Because I had some concerns about some of the repetitiveness of some of the questions as it specifically pertained to his issue with Wanda at the radio station in Atlanta. Also, questions about some of his infamous roles, and even a little bit of, some beef with certain comedians, although, more so spoke on like Ricky Smiley and then some of these other people. But nonetheless, completely different approach from what we saw with the Club Shay Shay interview. Clearly this was posted due to how viral Shannon's interview went, and no shade, get your coins, get your views and all those things, but I think ultimately once people see this interview, they're going to realize, they may like, some of the things that Katt Williams said in this interview, but I don't know if it's going to have the same replay impact that Club Shay Shay did. So, like I said, it was more of like a toned-down Katt Williams, very insightful, philosophical, all the things. However, the interview kind of started off on the bad foot. Willie D said that he, was looking up things and facts about Katt Williams. I was like, no, because sometimes any old person can update, Wikipedia that may not be like legitimate. But nonetheless, he had started off, saying to Katt Williams, you're from Cleveland, Ohio, right? And I was like, uh-oh. And I was like, this is not going to go well. And, Katt Williams clarified that he was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, and grew up in Dayton, Ohio. And I was like, uh-oh. And then Willie still wanted to relate Cleveland back to a story, I'm guessing back on the days like when he was performing and stuff, or some type of concert or whatever. And I was like, oh no. I was like, oh no, what are we doing? We need to redirect. So I felt the first half of the interview was a lot better because it was a lot more in depth on Katt Williams' life growing up. He talked a lot about growing up in Ohio, how his bus stop as a kid was like right in front of the recording studio of the Ohio Players and Roger Troutman. So I thought that was pretty cool. Really talked about the dynamics, the racial makeup of Dayton, Ohio, how you can make six figures in Ohio and all of the things, how he was making $6,000, $7,000 a year as a kid and just always had a hustler mentality. And then also, said he was not going to, have shame on his family because there was like certain questions that Willie was asking, trying to be like, oh, you were emancipated from your parents at, age 13 or whatever. And he was like, no, he was like, I walked away. I'm fully aware of what I did. I went, I left the house basically. And then also Katt Williams talked about his life as he was homeless and, some of the things he was doing for money, where he lived across the street from this restaurant and made this deal with this restaurant that he would come in at certain hours to clean and do dishes and all of the things, and then would be able to eat for free, and then basically slept outside like on a mattress or what have you, and basically, had his own money like in his pockets and stuff. Also talked about as well how he made his first million before the age of 18. something I thought was funny, he was told, because I think he must have talked to some people about his aspirations about Hollywood and becoming a comedian or whatever. And somebody told him, like, if he makes it big in Hollywood, to one, not do any cocaine, and two, not to sleep with white women. So it was just that type of an interview. But because we didn't know, like I said, that this was already an interview that was done back in September 2023, there were a lot of repetitive questions, such as, the Money Mike role and some of the other roles Katt Williams had done. Also, like I said, the Wanda interview that took place in Atlanta. And then obviously the beef with Ricky Smiley. Things went a little bit left, though, when Willie was pressing Katt Williams about another comedian, Ali Sadiq, and their beef and what ultimately was the true story. And, Willie kept interjecting and was like, I can call him and we can get on the line and, squash this and all these things. And I was like, oh no, this is what people wanted Shannon Sharpe to do, to cut off Katt Williams and insert, their personal allegiance and bias, if they were personally friends or personally knew certain people that Katt Williams had beef with, and that kind of kills the story. That kills the story, that kills the impact of the story, because then now you've kind of like backed Katt Williams into a corner to where he's like forced to kind of be on the defensive to, really, speak his piece and give his side of the story. So I felt the tone also change then. Also, one thing I did find interesting was the story about when he got arrested with Suge Knight. He gave the backstory that him and Suge were going to a meeting, a hologram company meeting with this company, and I guess Suge Knight brought his 5-year-old son and said that, his 5-year-old son, I guess, went outside and like urinated against the dumpster. And this lady started recording this, Suge Knight's kid urinating on the dumpster, and basically called the police because she thought this was Katt Williams' child, and said that Katt Williams had jumped her. Because, as you know, the media has painted, Katt Williams, with all of these arrests and all these different things, as somebody to just, get all these charges on him or whatever. And he made it a point to say that he has had 15 of his charges completely dismissed. And so basically when they got to court and had to play this video, obviously there was nobody being jumped in sight, and obviously the case couldn't move forward because there was no receipts of this lady ever getting jumped. So it was things like that to where, Katt Williams was trying to convey that sometimes people just put out false narratives just for the simple fact that it is Katt Williams, which I found pretty interesting. Also talked about how he's an empty nester, how all of his kids are grown, how he is a grandfather, and ultimately, I'm trying to think what else. Willie was trying to ask him questions about Hollywood and his opinions on Hollywood, and he was, Katt Williams was kind of like taken aback, like, I don't know what you're trying to get me to say about Hollywood, but basically it's not going to come out like the way you're expecting it to. So, and I think that was pretty interesting because on the flip side, as we see all these months later with Club Shay Shay, Shannon was able to get certain things out of Katt Williams, and he was able to expound on certain things in Hollywood and certain deals that you're offered, certain, opportunities and ways Hollywood can mess with you if you do not partake in certain things. So that I found interesting. Was also asked about repetitive jokes, and Katt came back and it was like, well, why do singers and rappers, sing and rap the same songs in concert? But basically reiterated that his fans know that he does not repeat the same set in his comedy. Also talked about how, when he does these comedy tours, that he has his own set of comics that he brings on to be his opening acts. So when people, tell different stories about him and try to like lie on him, that it's not, they don't have all of the facts, or something might have got misinterpreted possibly with like a promoter or something. So, and he was trying to convey how he is in demand, how he sells a lot of tickets and all of the things. Also, talked about Michael Blackson, because he was basically giving the example of how these comedians will go on social media platforms, or will say that they have a beef with Katt Williams, or Katt Williams is X, Y, and Z, and that they're angry with him. But then Katt Williams is like, well, I've never talked to Michael Blackson, so how do you have an issue with me, and we've never interacted before? So that I found poignant. Also, I'm trying to think what else. I think he said he made 6,000-7,000 a year as a kid. I know this is going to cause controversy, but he said that before the age of 12, I believe, he read 10,000 books. And I was thinking to myself about this. I'm like, real talk, you know, we'll see on Good Morning America, the Today Show, these brilliant kids that'll read like thousands of books before like the age of 7 and all these things. It's not like it's impossible. And you have to think of the times. Like, there's no social media, there's no internet at the time when Katt Williams is growing up. He grew up in a super religious household, so they probably limited TV if they were even allowed to watch TV at all. And probably that's where he spent a lot of his time when he wasn't out working, making money, was probably reading books. And I think people are under the impression that he's like saying he read like 10,000 encyclopedias or 10,000 dictionaries in a year or whatever, or in a couple of years. But no, we have to think of, there's probably various books, you know, various sizes that he was able to quickly read on and occupy his mind. So I don't think it is completely impossible. Also, at the very end, you know, he said to Willie D that these were the worst questions. And I don't know if he was joking or being serious, but it didn't look like it was a joke when he said that. But I think Willie D kind of like laughed after. But nonetheless, it explains why Katt Williams does not do many interviews. And now that I know that this was done in September 2023, it all makes sense now. It all makes sense. The difference in tone, the difference in certain things. And sometimes, you know, and there's no shade. Like I said, I'm always going to keep it a buck. I'm always going to keep it 100 with you guys. I don't play favorites. I'm not biased against anybody. Like, if I like something, I like it. If I feel like people need to be held accountable for something, I'll say it. But I just felt with this interview, I felt like it could have been more. And I felt, you know, just some basic things like proper research, proper, you know, intel, you know, not letting any personal relationships that you have with fellow comedians, you know, cloud what, you know, you're trying to convey in this interview with Katt Williams, because you have to understand from Katt's perspective. He's looking at this from the perspective of there's probably a lot of negative press and bad things that are said about him that aren't true, but people believe it for the simple fact that the narrative is out there. Oh, Katt Williams is crazy. Katt Williams is a drug addict. So it's very easy for any comedian or any celebrity to come out and say whatever about Katt Williams, and people believe it. And so when he's trying to set the record straight on his beef, you know, for instance, with Ali Sadiq, and since Willie has a relationship with him, and keeps trying to interject that they should have like a phone call together and all those things, then Katt gets on the defensive and says, well, he's not really a celebrity anyways. And so things like that is what happens when you don't allow people to, you know, just tell their truth, and then as appropriate, then, you know, ask the follow-up questions as need be, right? But to take your personal bias or personal relationships with others out of it so that you can have them give their floor and give their entire side of the things, and then from there can make your own assessment or whatever after the fact. So I will give kudos to Shannon on that, because a lot of people were hating on, you know, Shannon Sharpe not cutting off Katt Williams when he was, you know, saying the things that he was saying about Cedric the Entertainer, Steve Harvey, and Ricky Smiley and all the things. But this is the perfect example, like I said, of when you do stuff like that, how it can change the tone of the interview. So there's that. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.